Okay, all right. It's 5 minutes past. I think we're ready to roll. Thanks everyone for joining here today. Super excited to talk to you guys a little bit about the background story behind our startup Seatti and a little bit also about what we do and where we're also planning to go in the future. Maybe just a quick side note, I really don't have to or want to hold a super long monologue here. So if anyone has any questions or comments or ideas they want to share, on the bottom right-hand corner, you can share questions or also write in the chat. I'll be sure to keep an eye on it and just try to kind of integrate in this whole conversation. So yeah, as I mentioned, that you don't have to just listen to a monologue the whole time. So yeah, really excited to hear what you all have to say. Maybe just to start things off, I'm Chris. I'm one of the founders of Seatti. We're what we call a hybrid workplace and team management software startup. Originally founded out of Germany. At this point, we have team members in, I think, 12, 13 different cities in Europe, and we're live in about 20, 25 different countries all over the world. So yeah, has been an exciting ride so far, but I'll walk you through the journey right now anyways. Just as a quick one-liner, so you know what the hell it actually is that we do at Seatti. Essentially what it comes down to is we help hybrid teams coordinate when they want to meet up with each other. So instead of having to write thousands of Slack or Teams messages or click through a bunch of different calendars, you can just super easily through polls and quick votes decide when is the ideal day for your team, for your decentralized team to come together in the office or also elsewhere. And then also once you found that ideal day, you can book your desired workstations within the office. That can be like desk, rooms, team areas, etc. And last but not least, then there's also a whole kind of analytics component to help decision makers kind of realize how heavily is the office being used, what parts of the office are popular, which ones perhaps aren't. So that's why we kind of break it down to book workplaces intuitively and meet colleagues effortlessly. But I'll maybe just start off with a bit of the background of why we actually started Seatti and what our goal was there. It was actually kind of a personal pain point, to be honest. In my previous company, I was working at Tesla, and back then there was a whole hybrid working and desk sharing model there. And it was honestly really bloody annoying. You oftentimes had this issue that you'd come to the office and your colleagues weren't there, or even when you were in the office, it was a quite big office. You didn't know where your colleagues were sitting exactly. And even in the worst case, you maybe even wouldn't be able to find the kind of workplace that you were looking for. So maybe there weren't any available. And those were kind of the three, or the two main issues that I faced personally. Is like it was really difficult to find the ideal workspace in the office by not knowing where my colleagues were. I had less exchanges with the office. And then what was actually kind of the deal breaker for me, which you see here under point 3, was once that problem was noticed by like the workplace and the HR team, they implemented a kind of like old school standalone office management solution. And it was so not user-centric, it was so Windows 95 style that all the users hated it and no one really used it. And that just led to even more confusion because some people were booking desks, others weren't, and you just never really knew what was going on. And that's why, I kind of felt like this. I was like, what the hell? Like, why can't we do this better? And as a result said, there must be a way to just kind of build a solution that end users actually enjoy using, because it's a pain point for an end user. So if you solve it really in the right way, I think end users will be super happy to use your solution. And basically the three main things that we focus on at Seatti when it came up to conceptualizing a solution to solve this problem was making it super fast and easy and as automated as possible to just kind of find the ideal workplace. And then just not make it about booking resources in the office, but actually make it a collaborative experience where you see where your colleagues are planning to work from, where you can share your own work location plans, and you can even coordinate simultaneously with your colleagues. If none of you are sure when you want to work from where, that you can coordinate that all at the same time, so that you really see your colleagues if you want to see them, when you want to see them in the office. And then last but not least, this for me was always a really massive point, that it should just be a nicely, seamlessly integrated tool, meaning I don't want to have another third-party app on my phone. I don't want to install a whole new software on my laptop. I just want to have it integrated into my existing daily tools and also kind of routines or processes. And that's kind of what we decided to do. We tried to come up with a solution that tackles exactly those aspects. And the way we went about it is I joined forces with my two co-founders, Johannes and Moritz, here on the left and right of the picture. studied with them. They're kind of the more technical guys. That's also why I'm here, more talkative, salesy guy, if you will. So we came together, built an MVP, gained some first traction. So just got some like first pilot projects with a couple of sizable customers in Europe. And based on that, also started to collect funding. So at this time, we've raised pre-seed funding and seed funding with some smaller, some larger European funds. And with that, of course, went on to hire a team. As I mentioned earlier, at the moment, we're in, I think, 12, 13 different cities, 5 or 6 different countries in Europe, a bit over 30 people. And with that kind of group, and most importantly, with our customers together, we went on the journey of building the solution we had in our mind. Because obviously the solution us founders conceptualized at the very beginning wasn't perfectly aligned also with the needs that our customers had. So we, from day one, also really focused super heavily on checking out what is it that really solves the immediate pressing needs of our customers, and let's actually go out and build that. And what it essentially resulted in today is we have kind of a wide range of enterprise customers, of large global organizations, of medium size, as we say in Germany, the Mittelstand companies. I think it's about 70 or so organizations now across the world. And with the software itself, we're also live in over 20 countries. I think I mentioned that earlier, really in every single continent of the world at this point in time. And just to dive a little bit into the solution space itself. So just to give you a bit of a touch and feel of what Seatti actually does, like what are the specific features that you can use if you have Seatti. The first and most important in my perspective for the end users is what we call meetup dashboard. So essentially what happens here is you can select any given day or also an entire week and just see through various filters who's coming to, for instance, the Munich office tomorrow. Where are my marketing team members planning to work in the next days? Where are the people that are working on similar projects or topics than me working in the next days? So you can filter through all of those things. And then once you found those groups, you can join them and join them in the office or join them also in the remote working locations. Or if you see that those colleagues haven't actually made plans, but you'd like to meet up with them in person, you can coordinate a team day. You can kind of propose certain days or ask people when their preferred days would be and make so-called what we then call group booking. So then as a group decide to come to the office together and book certain desks or workstations, etc. What I find really exciting here is this aspect of not only knowing where your colleagues are, but also what they're working on while at that location. Because we realized over time that was a really huge pain point. You might see that your best friend or your colleague is coming to the office tomorrow, but then you realize they're in calls all day or in meetings, or actually they just want to do focus work and don't really want to be bothered. So that's an additional point of information that you can share on Seatti. And then you can not only filter by, hey, when are my colleagues there, but when are my colleagues who want to socialize or who are working on the same topics as me actually in the office, and really make sure that you're in the right place at the right time, working on the right topic, instead of sitting next to your friend who then just has their noise canceling headphones in all day and is ignoring you. Although I hope your friends don't do that too much. And then what happens within the Seatti solution, once you've kind of decided on the ideal day for which you want to come into the office, that's when you go into the whole kind of resource booking component of the tool. So the whole tool is, of course, integrated in various pre-existing software environments. First and foremost, we focus a lot on the Microsoft ecosystem. So Microsoft Teams, Exchange, Microsoft Outlook, and also the Azure Active Directory, meaning you can also use Seatti directly in your Teams environment, for instance. And the way this works is once I've kind of decided where I want to work, I can go into Teams, go into the Seatti application, select an office I want to work in, select areas in the office, check out visualized plans of the areas. On the visualized area plans, I can see where my colleagues are. I also see like what the equipment is at each different desk or room and all of that. And then I can just with one click book the kind of station that's perfect for me. So again, here, just based on my own past bad experiences, we try to just make it super, super simple and intuitive so that with just a few clicks and without having to use much of a user manual, you can just book the workstation that's ideal for you. And especially that's near the colleagues that you want to be kind of sitting close to. Here, by the way, a few side comments perhaps. You can also always define perhaps who's allowed to book which areas. That's a big data privacy component frequently. You can also filter by equipment of the different workstations. So we really just want to make it, again, super, super easy to find like the perfect place to sit and to work, to take this fear away of, in a shared desk and hybrid working environment, coming to the office and not finding the desired workstation or not finding the desired colleagues that you actually want to collaborate with on that day. An additional topic that we cover is then, of course, also for collaboration, the ability to not only book individual desks, but also entire rooms or team zones via Seatti. This is bidirectionally synchronized with Microsoft Exchange and Outlook especially. But here we focus really, again, on kind of enterprise needs, meaning you can not only select a meeting room, but you can first filter by which office do I want to actually book a meeting room in, which area in the office. You can get a visual overview of where the different meeting rooms are. We propose certain times where you and your colleagues are available. And this is a really enterprise requirement, but you can even book catering or additional services together with your meeting rooms. So that, once again, just with as minimal clicks and effort as possible, you have the ideal place to work with your colleagues and can just kind of, get connected and collaborate there. Yeah, and then I'm not going to go too deep in that. You can also book parking stations, parking spots, or even EV charging stations with Seatti. Very similar booking process, but especially the EV charging station point is becoming more and more relevant. I think we just see a lot of larger offices that are offering employees the ability to charge their electric vehicles. And then where I think it gets really quite sexy is on the optimization analytics. So all of the data that we generate through all these bookings and through all this work location planning is obviously super, super interesting for both the real estate team, but also just for the management team. We don't analyze any personalized data or anything like that, but we just anonymize and aggregate all of the data so that companies can, for instance, understand how heavily are certain parts or entire offices actually occupied. Where can we perhaps save money on office costs? Where should we kind of restructure the office? So maybe provide more focused work areas, less loud collaboration zones, or vice versa. Just whatever the data shows is, let's kind of say kind of the most demanded. But also help give you nudges as to how you could optimize your hybrid working strategy as a whole. Meaning if you start noticing that there's certain days on which everyone really likes to come to the office and others where no one likes to come to the office, or if there's certain reasons why people like to work from the office versus liking to work from home, you can accommodate kind of your policies or adjust your policies and your rules surrounding hybrid work based on these data points as well. So I think from a kind of leadership perspective, this is a really, really exciting component. And last but not least, I don't want to dig into this one too detailed, but what we always focus on really, really heavily is the administrative side of things. For end users, it's kind of like maybe a no-brainer, but what we just realized for global corporations, to ensure that that a software has a scalable administrability, that you can define several layers of admins from super global to hyper local, all with different rights and also obligations, was always a really big focus point of ours. So just also something that we kind of cover. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, what is it that we're trying to achieve with Seatti? We always say we want to create win-win situations. So personally, why I'm so excited about Seatti and about kind of this hybrid working world as a whole is it's one of those very few rare moments where companies as well as employees can benefit at the same time. Like typically it's always like a trend where the end users kind of benefit from, or it's a trend where companies benefit from, but very rarely do you have a situation where actually both of these parties that often kind of in their wishes and desires are more at a clinch can actually benefit. Because on the one hand, companies can, at the end of the day, really save costs by using their offices more efficiently or even reducing office space. They can strengthen collaboration and culture, which obviously is good for kind of the performance and the employee retention, but also for the end user, it's just nice to have colleagues that you're close to, that you know well personally, that you engage with in person frequently. And at the end of the day, our focus on like kind of minimizing implementation effort, again, something that's good for the company. It saves them costs, it saves time, but also from an end user perspective, you don't have to, again, kind of go through a bunch of trainings or read user manuals or all that stuff. It just simply intuitively helps you meet up with your colleagues and book the workplaces that you need to work or that you want to work. It's all about these win-win situations that we want to create. And of course, at the end of the day, I know maybe this is a bit of a cheesy meme here. hybrid working should just feel like that again, instead of like the grumpy cat earlier. And maybe some of you guys are now wondering, okay, cool, nice story. Does it really work? Like, can companies really, or do companies really reduce their office space? Do people really meet up with each other more frequently in the office? What's the deal? And to be completely honest, I mean, we came up with the idea. We had the hypothesis that it could work. But after a couple of months or even years of being live, we decided let's really dig into the data and see if we're actually having the impact we're desiring. And what it showed us was really quite encouraging. It was two main takeaways at the end of the day. On the one hand, we saw that people who use Seatti tend to go to the office 32% more often than without using Seatti. So that means from going about, I think, 1.8, 1.9 days per week, it increased to 2.4 days. And this, again, this is without having policies or rules in place. This is simply because you have this natural social incentivization to go meet up with people, because I think most of us still just really like to engage with our colleagues and see them in person every now and then. But at the same time, what we did also see is even as people come to the office more frequently, about 2.5 days per week, there's still this 50% gap where office space and therefore also office costs could be reduced, actually. So again, a win-win situation. Colleagues see each other more frequently, build more or stronger personal connections, but at the same time, the company benefits from stronger culture and can still save costs on their office spaces. And yeah, again, just like I said earlier, those are the win-win situations that we're trying to aim for here at Seatti. Also, kind of an interesting insight that we gained from the data was that we saw that even though there's certain kind of peak days, the average occupancy rate of the offices still remains like at max 50% on average, meaning, again, what I highlighted earlier, there is still this massive cost savings potential where companies can provide more than enough office space for their employees, but still actually reduce their costs, whether it's by subletting office space or actually terminating rental agreements, or by simply moving into smaller offices. There's just so much cost savings potential if you think about how typically, if we're talking like Central Europe, a desk and the space around it, one desk costs the company about over 5,000 euros rent per month per desk. So it's like, if you're talking about a few hundred through a few thousands, tens of thousands of desks, it's insane amounts of money. So that's kind of what we have been doing, what the results were. And to kind of wrap things up, I'll just kind of give you a bit of an overview of what we're actually trying to tackle next. Essentially, we break it down into three components. So first and foremost, what's on our horizon is to continue to optimize kind of this office or workplace management component. So, we cover the desk booking, we cover the meeting room, parking lot, EV charging station booking, and these types of topics. But we just see with our global customers, there's still more things we can offer, even better analytics, even more intuitive booking processes, perhaps even some nudges or reminders when people haven't been in the office for a while. So that's kind of our let's call it bread and butter that we still want to expand on and continuously improve on. But then the second topic that I find really, really appealing is what we summarize as social glue. And that has the focus of increasing in-personal, informal interactions. So we've started with this now through these ideas of kind of setting up these polls where you ask your colleagues when they would like to come to the office next, and then seeing what the ideal day is for everyone and booking your workplaces in the office accordingly. But there's still so much more we can do here to help employees meet up, those who want to meet up in person more frequently. It can be such things like getting a little notification when a colleague has booked a station in the office. It can also be more automated planning where simply if a lot of people that you like to work with or interact with are coming to the office, we automatically also book a space for you if you want to do so. Bunch of ideas out there that we're trying to tackle soon. And then on the third point, last but definitely not least, what I find really, really, really interesting is the aspect of hybrid team leadership. And what this means is we feel like team leads, so essentially the middle management, is this massively important party that has been left out of all hybrid work discussions so far. So far, everyone's just talking about the employees, the end users, and the executive management. And the executive management is like, hey, we'd like people to come into the office more frequently. And the employees are like, hey, I'm kind of actually really productive working from home. Why would you want me to do that? And the people stuck in the middle in the sandwich position are the middle management that somehow have to make both sides happy. They have to make the exec managers happy, and they have to make the end users or their team members happy. And what we realized, however, is that these middle management, these team leads, they've never really been trained. They never really got any experience in managing decentralized hybrid working teams. I mean, in the past, most people who led teams saw their team members every single day or almost every day. They could read their body language. They heard during their coffee breaks or during lunch breaks what was going on in their personal lives, how they were feeling, if there were any conflicts, grudges, concerns, etc. And all of that just kind of fell away. And we said that there's a couple of points how you can kind of support these team leads, these middle managers in running their hybrid teams more efficiently or more effectively. The one is definitely an educational topic. So simply giving also management trainings for techniques and methods on how you can run your hybrid teams more successfully, now that even though you don't see them every day anymore. But on the other hand, I think it is also a tooling question where you have to give these team leads the right tools, the right systems to what we always summarize as feel as close as ever to your colleagues, despite the occasional physical distance. And that's exactly what we want to tackle with Seatti in the future. Making sure that you have this information about how your colleagues are feeling, how they're doing, whether there's conflicts or not, even though you're not sitting next to them during lunch, and getting that little between the lines comment that then makes you realize that something might be going on. And there's lots of different ways how we can approach that. We're currently still exploring which one we believe to be the most promising. But at the end of the day, yeah, to kind of wrap things up, those are the three main things that we're working on with Seatti right now. So going even deeper into the workplace management and keep expanding on that. Then helping colleagues individually meet up with each other more frequently, but with as little as possible coordination effort. And then, as I mentioned, last but not least, helping team leads also run their hybrid teams as effectively as possible. Again, to summarize this all, to create win-win situations. So to create situations where the company benefits from hybrid work, where culture is strong, where output is strong, where employee retention is strong, but also where the individual team members benefit from hybrid work, where they benefit from the flexibility, from the work-life balance, from the trust the company gives them, and most importantly, from the personal connections they build. Because I think personally that's the whole reason why we're willing to go to work every day, is because our friends and personal connections and people we like and love are also there. And yeah, that's basically all about Seatti. I hope that was kind of interesting or helpful, or if not, or if you still have open questions, please do just throw them into the questions or into the chat area here on the bottom right-hand corner. Otherwise, while maybe people are still writing some questions, if anyone wants to kind of have a chat, reach out, have a conversation, or also just post some follow-up questions in a one-on-one, you can find my contact details here on the right-hand side, chris@seatti.co, or of course also always feel free to visit our website. So I'm going to just take a quick look at the questions area, but not seeing anything there so far. On the chat side, not yet either, but that's no problem. I would say if there's no other questions for now, you have my contact details. So yeah, really do please feel free to reach out anytime. And other than that, thanks everyone for joining, and wish you all a great rest of the Remote Connect Summit. Hope it's been cool so far, and hope the rest of the day is also pretty awesome. All right, cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.